All right, everybody. So this is class 16 of the Buddhist Neigong series. It's Monday, February 1st. And how cool. People keep showing up to the amazement of myself and probably each other. But that's great. I'm glad that people are interested enough to continue on with this. It's one of these things that once you get the taste of it, it's quite nourishing. But to get to the point where you have some of the taste of it is pretty challenging, actually. You have to be willing to be patient and to really keep your awareness and keep listening. And so the bar is actually pretty high. If you're trying to bench press some massive weight, it's out there and you can see what it is you're trying to do. And there's an external thing that you can struggle around with. And in some ways, it's a lot easier to wrestle. With this stuff, it's all internal, right? It's like the quality of your awareness and then your ability to sense into the body and manipulate it at much more sensitive levels. So good on you for pursuing this with me. So before I move on, I know that last week we did some introductory conversations about the Mo Wai Dan, the Bodhidharma closed palm sequence. And we did just the very first sequence, the very first posture of the sequence. And the guidance was to pursue that to about 50 repetitions and kind of see what happens. And so if anybody has experience from trying to work on that this week and you want to share or maybe pose a question or rebuke me for having introduced this to you, now would be a good time. Shokai, please.
So in the sequence, when you're doing the contractive inhale,
Yeah.
are you actually inhaling through your hands?
Yeah. Yeah, you are. What I do is I breathe in through the five gates. So I'm breathing in through the Da Ling and through the center of the palm in, through the center channel and through the legs via the feet. And you draw in. And also when I do the contractive inhale, I'm drawing in globally. So there's energy coming in from the back, from the front, from the sides, from every area of the limb. Basically everything is like a sponge. It just like draws everything in. There are these meridian lines that are sort of like main pathways to the one point, but chi is being brought in from all directions globally. And what you do is you draw it in and you bring it to the one point, and then on the exhale, you send it out to in this case, the hands and the arms, and according to the posture. And when you do that, you are stacking the chi. Okay, so you stack it there at whatever the posture is asking you to do. It stays there, and it's perfectly workable for that chi to stay there while you go ahead and breathe in through and draw more in. It's kind of like a tunnel. There's the external stuff, and you can breathe right through the center of the tunnel anyway, and kind of keep packing the chi. So, all of this is not. Well, I don't know what I want to say. It's you have to be able to feel it. There's a felt sense that you can pack chi here and then continue to draw breath in through, cycle it, and pack more. And those two functionings happen just as easy as two lane direction on a road. They don't get in each other's way. Does that help?
Does help. And can I just say that having the 20 minutes guided was like great because I could just do it along with you and I didn't have to keep thinking of what I should be doing. So it was really useful for me.
Oh, for just a little bit of guided meditation once in a while. It's just so nice. I mean, it is one option. I mean, I could actually just record a video of myself doing these in various ways and narrating it, and you could just play along with the thing. That would be a possibility. You know what I mean? Just to give you a sense of what it is. It's interesting if you look on YouTube now and just search Mo Wai Dan. I mean, you'll see a number of different interpretations of this on offer. Some of them are very flourishy with a lot of flows and like a lot of really pretty Chinese flute music, and some of them are very I don't know. I saw one that was like a children's class somewhere. Who knows? It's kind of all over the place. But yeah, I mean, that's something I could consider doing. You'll see that like there's a couple of different ways this can go for the next steps, and maybe we can talk about that. But you're not the only person to mention that that was fun. So anybody else with some Mark, please.
Uh, First, I will second Sokai's comment. That was very useful. What I enjoyed about it, as opposed to something online, is that we're used to following you doing it, and the terminology you use and that we've been using all along. It was very beneficial.
Hmm.
But my question is, so if I've gone through the routine and um, I'm coming to the end of it, so I release my hands, bring the thumbs into the thighs, and the chi begins to circulate.
Mm-hmm.
Is Should I just allow that to be a free flow circulation, um, or would it be detrimental to try to direct it someplace? Like if I had a sore knee, for example.
Oh, well, you can direct it. The guidance classically is that the chi will go where it's needed. So, you know, the classic strategy is that you're building the chi, you're packing the chi, you're filling the battery, and it gets very intense, as you can recall. You know, if you actually do 50
Right.
concentrated breaths and you're present for half of them, it's a lot. Okay. And then when you release, it's like static energy. It goes exactly where it needs to. You know, you don't have to manage lightning strikes. It'll do exactly what it's supposed to do in the right time. You don't have to manage the way the water goes down the river. It'll find its way. So the classic teaching is that in this manner, you know, trust your body's wisdom and allow the chi to go exactly where it needs to go. It knows probably better than we do. Now that said, if you do that and you know you've got a tweak in the knee, there's nothing preventing you from paying attention to that. But what I would do is refer you to the earlier practices where we, you know, when you scan through the body and you feel a sensation, and then you pay attention to that sensation in a particular way. That whole thing is about concentrating the chi into the point of difficulty, right? So that's that purpose, that's that action, that's a certain practice by itself. The classic teaching of the Bodhidharma is let the body take care of it. It'll go there better than you. Um, but you know, when you talk about the like a particular thing like a knee injury or a pain or something like that, you know, there's a difference between what would I want to say, just like soreness and actual pain, you know, like an actual tweak, a sharp, sudden, instant sensation is pain, right? If you overexert, then what happens is the stress in the system gradually reveals itself, and we get sore. Okay, so there's a difference between muscle soreness and actual acute pain. So what I find is that for the general soreness of living yet another day, you know, gravity increasingly takes its toll as we wear on, you know, and wear down. That this sort of letting the Bodhidharma energy just cycle where it needs to is really good for that. And for these more acute, tweaked specificities, I really like bringing the chi there in the earlier practice, where you bring the mind into the point, hold it there, and then go underneath it and release it, and then drop it down through. Or we remember we dissipated it out into the environment and cycled it around, that kind of stuff. And once you get adept with it, or even, you know, well enough acquainted with it, honestly, you can be sitting in your rocking chair and just go ahead and do that. You know, it doesn't have to be this big formal thing every time you do it. I mean, it can be just like a cat stretching when they feel like it. You know, they don't have a big ritual to get there. They're just kind of there anyway. And when they feel like it, they just kind of do their cat stretch stuff. And Qigong can become very much like that when you're attuned to it. You know, if you feel a little bit of a tweak in that knee, you can kind of instantly bring some chi there and circulate it around and help flush it through. And no one would necessarily even know you're doing it. Yeah. Does that help?
It does. I think part of what I was experiencing might have just been the intensity, if you will, of standing in a position and taking 50 breaths. After a while, my body's saying, hey, let's move. Come on. You know?
Yeah. Well, that's a really good point, actually. I mean, that's, I'm glad you clarified that, because it is its own kind of, what, athleticism, I guess. You know, it's a thing to be conditioned, just like Zazen is actually, it's an athletic thing in a sense. It's a kinesthetic thing. You know, when you learn how to sit deeply, there's a physical skill to that, that needs to be developed, you know, and a beginner just isn't probably going to be able to do it. And it's its own thing. And in the same way, being able to stand and just put your mind in the body and feel the gravity flow that way and to be cool with it, that also is a skill. It's funny, but in the way that I would not assume someone knows how to sit, I would not assume someone knows how to stand, including myself. And so, you know, you want to pay attention to those cues. You know, if your body is saying, hey, that's good, Joe, let's cool out a minute here, you go ahead and listen to that, you know, and very gradually you can up the bar with this, you know. Does that make sense to you?
It does. Thank you.
Yeah. There's also some really good exercises you can do just for knee stuff that helped me. And that's just, you know, I've got a chair here. So, you know, I've got a little bit of a condition in these knees. It's called Osgood-Schlatter. So back in the day, it was kind of an issue for me more than now. But, you know, it's just doing simple, like standing up and then very, very slow, like micro slow. I'm really feeling into my body and I'm feeling those joints and extending as I sit down onto the chair. I'm not trying to do like a ton of reps, but I'm trying to really feel the joint, my knees, and really just let them kind of connect. You know what I mean? So you can do just this kind of little work. You get some fluid in the joints. And if you feel like a little tweak, like, ow, you just go right to where that was and stop. And then just kind of relax around it, you know, and then come back up. So you go right to the range of motion where you're safe. And then you gradually can get more and more and more until you're sitting in the chair. And an aspect of that that's important and relevant for this is now trying to address the knees and general leg health, is that you want to make sure if you choose to do this, that you don't go like that. You want to be here, and basically the hips hinge back as the arms go forward. Okay. And then I'm going to gently kind of keep extending here as this extends back. And then I'm going to very, very gradually hold myself until I set down. See, and then the inversion happens. And the point here is slow, and you can stop and just breathe through it, go up another bit, stop, breathe through it. And all of this kind of stuff will generally increase your leg health, you know, but the knee joint specifically.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Very good. Thank you.
Yeah. And that's the kind of thing, you just do that a little bit throughout the day when it seems relevant and interesting, and behold, before you know it, that pain will have dissipated quite a bit. Yeah. Good. Anybody else? Okay, so let's consider what happens next. Your fate, as it were. There's a number of these postures, 12, and we want to make sure that we understand the kind of methodology behind it, at least a little bit. And I think I may have alluded to this. When you hold your body in a particular posture, they create tension in certain areas of the body. And then the idea is that by stimulating these areas in these different ways, you start to bring chi to those places. So it's very much like, oh, I don't know, like if you're trying to, you've got a radio dish and you kind of tune it here and listen, and then you tune it over here and listen, you tune it here and listen, or like a telescope if you're trying to map the sky. The idea is that there are different postures that are particularly efficacious in charging energy. There is something like 200 of these total that I'm aware of, that are in the sort of roster of possibility. These are that's a lot, okay? And so what we have here are the Bodhidharma 12, that are kind of like considered the main set. But for those who study martial art, you see in the stances, basically a lot of those stances are actually these postures, and they come from very ancient wisdom. And different traditions tend to emphasize some or other of them, according to their purpose and what they're trying to do. So when you begin to practice these, there's a few sort of general advice, some general advice that gets shared usually. One of them is that you don't want to do these exercises when you're overly full. If you've just eaten like a gargantuan amount, it's not a great time to suddenly throw your body into doing this chi work. In fact, it's better if your stomach is not quite empty, but almost, and maybe fully empty wouldn't be a problem, but you definitely don't want to do this when you're really overstuffed. That's not good. You don't want to do this if you're sleep deprived. Okay. It's a very bad idea to try to do this when what you really need to be doing is sleeping. Okay. So that's a point. You don't want to do this in extreme temperatures without specific guidance. You will see yogis in different traditions doing very much this kind of practice in extreme weather conditions. Like a lot of our Tibetan cousins will go out to the freezing mountains, take their shirt off and be wrapped in a sheet that's been soaked in cold water. And it should be icing up, but they're able to generate enough heat that it actually dries off the sheet. Don't try to do that. That's something that's a very specific training for some young, robust fellows who are having a good time, but that's not something you need to be pursuing. All right. So what I would say is, the room should be not too hot and it should be not too cold. That's what I would say. Just right. Okay. But you do want to have fresh air. That's a feature. Okay. It's very difficult to do this practice well with stagnant air. That's a feature. So like in the space I'm in right now, if what I really should be doing is cracking the window there to get just a little bit of fresh air coming through the space. That's a pretty good thing to do. Okay. Because when you're breathing with this much intensity, you want the chi in the air to have some fresh quality to it. All right. So that's a thing. You want to be very careful about anything that overly dissipates your essence. Okay. So sexual activity is, the traditional guidance on this, no sexual activity 24 hours before or after any Qigong session. It's too dissipating and strenuous, and it has a massive effect on the energy flow in the body, and you're in a weakened state. And so you really don't want to put yourself into these stressful Qi situations if that's been your experience within the last 24 hours, or if you plan to. Okay. So that is a feature. And one thing that you'll see over and over in the Taoist approach, as well as a lot of the Buddhist approach, sexual activity becomes more and more reserved, more conserving essence, more conserving the sexual energies, not just kind of throwing it all over the place willy-nilly, but actually conserving your energy. That becomes a very important feature as we age. But in Qigong practice, this kind of practice for sure. Okay, so that's just an important feature to be aware of. I think that's all the general guidelines that you generally see. So that said, let me show you some of these other postures. There are a number of them. And the first set, as I've said, is typically called a closed palm or a closed fist set. Okay. And then ironically, the first one is open palm, of course. What else would it be? But that's how it is. The first movement actually has your palms down, okay? And these are, by the way, readily findable. You can search these Mo Wai Dan and find, links to them, and you can see the different postures as they've been recorded. For me, Master Yang is a good reference. This is a work called Qigong for Health and Martial Arts. I think the newer version of this has a more kind of up-to-date cover. This is an original printing, probably from the 80s, if not the 70s. Yeah, 1980-ish. So there's a more current version of this, but it's the same title, Qigong, Health and Martial Arts by Dr. Yang Ming. And he's got, some nice pictures in here that look like this, and where you can just see what the postures are. Okay. And there are some links to this. In fact, that these very pages have been made PDF and are available. And I think I can actually find them. I think I did find them before class started. If this computer saved it. Yeah, let's see. So I'm going to take this link, and I think what I'm going to do is post it in the chat. And if that's true, I'll feel like I've done something technologically savvy today. Let's see. There. See if you can click on that. Energy Gates Qigong. And I think what I'll do is I'll go to a screen share here and share my
Yep, that worked.
desktop. Okay. Let's see. Am I sharing here? Let's do this. Share. Okay. Are you guys seeing my desktop at the moment?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's just do this for a second. And this is, I don't know how, oh, here, maybe that'll work. Okay. Yeah. So this is a version of this that you can find online. This is very much the same kind of text that I'm looking at. This is the classic portrait of Damo, Bodhidharma, as we know him in the West. He's always pictured with, facial hair, as is common to the, his lineage. He was probably, we think, Persian/Indo-Aryan, and way darker in skin tone and more facial hair than the Chinese. So they always have big bushy eyebrows and big hair as part of his thing. He usually has a big earring, and this kind of stuff. It's kind of fun. And anyway, there we are. That's an image of the Shaolin Temple. And this is, some accoutrements. This is the rock he stared at so intensely his image got imported upon it. Okay, fine. But actually, if you go down here, and here's some of these guidelines. Oh, actually, I didn't mention that one about drinking alcohol. That's important as well. Okay, so the guidelines are here. You can see them. Don't be hungry. Don't be too full. Wait at least 30 minutes, etc. Okay. Sexual activity is mentioned, not when you're too tired, etc. Okay. Now, these forms, in the full version of them, what happens is people will do each one of these forms 50 times each. So we take the first posture, and this is what we did last week, and you do you breathe the chi in, and on the exhale, you concentrate a little bit, you make a little bit of an exhale there, or you make a tension, and you do that 50 times. And then without shifting or without a break, you immediately go to the next posture. Okay. Which actually is this one. Okay. This is palms open. And let's see if I can make that a little easier to see. This is palms open. And this one here, he's got his thumbs pulled back. And I'll show these in more detail, but it's like basically the palms close and the thumbs pull up, and they're all described. And the third posture is fists down at the sides. And the fourth posture is those fists come up in front of you. And then they're held aloft. And then the elbows bend and they're held this way. And again, each of these would be 50 breaths. Then the hands are held out to the sides. And these little marks here are trying to give you some image about where the tension is in the body. When you inhale, you're drawing in, but when you exhale, you're putting attention and intention and some tension into these spots. Then we draw in here. So the palms are coming inwards, or the fists are rather. Then we invert, so the thumbs would be facing down, the palms are facing out, and then up to the sides, like so. And then there's actually another one where you, for whatever reason, it's not pictured here, but you bring the hands, there's two more. You bring the hands down to face each other, and then you hold the palms open. Okay. So that being there for reference, there's two really solid approaches to this, and I think both work admirably well. Okay. For general health and well-being, for general health and longevity, Master Yang and others that I've studied say, really the first 5 of those are plenty. If you just did 5 postures and you did 50 breaths each, you're doing really good. Okay. That's one angle to the thing. The other angle that I also like is to say, no, actually, if you go through all of those postures, they bring energy to the body in different ways, and it's worth doing. And so the better approach really, after all, is to do each posture but less repetitions. So maybe you go through all of those postures, but you only do 10 breaths each, let's say. So what ends up happening, if you do every one of those postures for 50 breaths, you're talking about something like an hour and a half, depending on how you breathe and what your how quick you breathe or not. You know what I mean? It can take a long time, and it's a really something to do. I did this a lot in the spring and in the summer, standing outside by the tree out there. And it's a very fierce thing to do, honestly. It cultivates a lot of determination and solidity of will, I would say, in a good, healthy way. But it's a serious practice. What I think would make the most sense today is maybe to just do, say, the first 5 postures, and then rather than commit ourselves to doing 50 breaths each, what I recommend is, say, do 1 breath each. And that's fine. And then the next time you practice, do 2 breaths each. And that's fine. And then the next time, do 3 breaths. So that each time you engage this, you're adding another breath to the amount of repetitions that you're doing. And in this way, you very gradually and very gently increase the amount of energy that you're running through the system. Okay. I think slow, steady, gentle progress can do amazing things that in hindsight you look at it and say, how the hell did they ever do that? But it's actually really modest stuff, very modest, but it doesn't stop. It keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. That tends to be way more effective in the long run than trying to do a bunch of gangbuster stuff all at once, and then you crash and you burn and you get grumpy and like that. You know what I mean? So it's better to make it so easy to do that it almost seems like, why bother? I think that's a good way to do it, because then you can very gradually increase it and it's not a problem. And then eventually, maybe you get to your limit where you're like, look, I'm good for doing this for 20 minutes and that's enough. Okay, fine. Then you do that much, and you find out how many breaths per movement it takes you to fill up that, let's say, 20 minutes. Maybe that's, I don't know, 20 breaths each or whatever it is for you. And then at that point, you can start adding other postures. And when you do, I think you'll be able to sense how powerful they are. The alternative to that would be to start right off doing all 12 postures with 1 breath each. The challenge to that is you end up trying to remember what posture is next, and it's very confusing. And so when you're actually doing the Qigong practice, I really would prefer you didn't have to concentrate so much on what the next posture is. It's kind of a drag, and it takes your mind out of your body and into your thinking mind, like, oh shit, what posture's next, kind of stuff. So that's why I think if you actually get 5 and get them to where you don't even have to think about them and very gradually increase the time that you're doing, then it's no burden at all to just add another posture. That's simple. You know what I mean? Then you get that to where that's nice and solid, and then you can easily just throw another posture on there. And so what if it takes you a season? It's not, we're not racing, you know. It's okay. I mean, if as long as you're paying some attention to it, it'll work for you. Does that make sense, everybody? So any questions, you know, on what we've covered so far? Okay, seems like we got that together. So let's try. Let's see what I'll do. Okay, I'm going to stand up, and I'll invite you to do the same.
I realize I have a question.
Well, it might be helpful. What is it?
Last week you described 3 points, you know, where you're tucking your chin and you're kind of tucking your tailbone, and then that middle spot, I forget what it's called, in your back where it goes out a little bit. I have a really hard time feeling myself get that. When I try to get that middle back position, I feel like I throw the rest of my posture out, and I don't know if I'm trying to do it too much,
Yeah,
but
probably.
I can get, like, from the ground up, I feel like really good about the postures that I can get, but when I try to integrate that, I feel like I just throw my whole self out.
Well, that's good that you can notice to begin with, you know, and so, but what I would tell you is just, can you comfortably put your hand on your back like this? Is that easy to
Yes.
do? If
Yes.
it isn't for somebody, you can, you know, grab a pillow or whatever and do like this. So, but I've got something back here that I can feel. Okay. A towel would work, a pillow, ideally your hand though. And what you want to do when you're working on getting this back correct is start from the feet and kind of work up, you know, the pelvis, the tailbone is tucked in a little bit. The shoulder notches are in, the quad is up, the lower occipitals, all that stuff is going. You've got the internal rotation and the winding. So I'm hearing you say all those other components kind of make sense and they feel right, but the back is kind of the kicker, right? So get all that in place and then just very gently put your hand back here, okay? And then what you want to do is increase the awareness to that place behind your hand, on the top of your hand back here, and feel it. And then you just want to move that part of the spine back like 1%, a seemingly insignificant amount. Okay. Don't try to like wrench it way back there. It's a very small motion. It's like about like from this to like that, and that you're done. Okay. It's not like this. It's a very modest movement. At its fullest, it's something like if I straighten my hand and relax my hand, that's the most it would ever be. It's a very modest movement. So don't overdo it. You have your awareness here and just very gently let your energy kind of fill that space in your back and then go back here and just stand. And there is a way for that to make sense. There's a way for it to be too much, and that's a problem for anybody who would do it, including me and you. Okay. There's a way where this is not good. There's neutral, and there's just a little bit having that spine back to where it's positive. It's important that you, if you can, if you feel your vertebrae open. Okay. If the vertebrae are crushed together and you're trying to pull them back, it doesn't work. You've got to have the vertebrae with a little space in between, and then you can move back. If there's space in between, they can move back very easily without stressing the spine. If they're crunched and you try to move back, it's too aggressive. So you kind of open the spine up, open the vertebrae gently, and then back about 1%, like this. And that's all you need to do. Okay.
Very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm very good with back issues because I've got a bad back. Lucky me, you know. Okay. All right. And by the way, part of my emphasis on this is some years ago I was 50 pounds heavier, and I, despite all my training, would pretty regularly throw my back out and be like just stuck. And I'm like, enough of this, man. This is not cool, you know. And so I ended up really trying to pay attention to this and heal myself and become functional. And happily, since those days, I mean, I haven't had my back go out, you know, knock on wood, who knows? But this kind of stuff has really helped me a lot. So let's look at our first posture again, the Mo Wai Dan, and we're just going to start with it. Okay, so you got your standing posture in place. The first posture, and what we're going to do, we're not going to do the exercise, we're going to practice. Okay, so we're not doing it, we're practicing it. So the first posture is your palms facing the floor. Okay, so your palms are kind of up like this, and when you breathe in, you draw in, and then out, you put a little exertion right around the wrists. Okay, that's the first posture. We did that last time. Now, the second posture, what you do is you take your hands and you turn them into fists, and you pull your thumbs up a little bit. So they're coming like this. All right. Just very little bit. All right. So kind of coming up this way, and it pulls tension around this way. Okay. So from a distance, the first posture is here. The second posture is like that. And if you do this correctly, you'll feel the tension in different points. It brings the energy up and in this way. And also it makes a different kind of stretch along here. Okay, so one is like this. It's Iron Man taking off. Okay, two is like this with the thumbs coming up. Now three, you go from this and you kind of wind around to fists that are pointing straight down. Okay, and the thing about a fist is that you want to wind it from your pinky like this. Okay, you don't wind this way. Okay, this is spinal injury or brain injury. This is natural feeling in the body, and it's not white knuckled. But it is wound. It's spiralically wound. Now, some places you'll see they'll go like this and wrap around the thumbs like so. I don't like that. Some teachers say that's the way it needs to be, and I'm sure they have their reasoning. But for me, this is the way I prefer, and also the way it's been taught to me. So it's just to point out these variations in the thing. And what you do is you go from open palm to your side to thumbs here like this with a fist, and then you go to fists down. Okay, and when you do this, you know, here you're feeling it in the wrist joint and the palms. Here you're feeling it kind of coming in and along this area. When you make this, you're feeling it at the like where the punch would be hitting something in this area, and then also along the shoulders. It's like this. So when you inhale, you draw in, and you exhale, you open it up, and you feel a little bit of a tension here at the base of the fists and here along the arms. Kind of, I'm making it visible so you can see it, but it radiates out here this way. Okay. So 1, 2, 3. That's the first 3 postures. Now the fourth posture, you just bring those puppies right up in front of you. Okay. And it's like you're grabbing a steering wheel or something, but you hold them, basically it's shoulder height. Okay. I don't recommend that when you do these, you lock your elbows out. There should always be a healthy kind of bend in the elbow. You don't want it like this unless the posture asks you to do that, but don't hyperextend. There should be like a relaxed softness to the joints that's here. Okay, so you don't lock out. You have a little soft. Okay, And all the pointers that we had in the standing posture like this about the fascia wrapping around and gravity running through the body are all in place. But now when you do this, it changes where gravity hits you, okay? It changes how gravity flows through your system, okay? A lot. And this is the first time that you really get a major shift. This one, you know, okay. And then you go here, all right. And you go here, okay. These are all basically, in terms of gravity running through the system, it's all kind of dirt from the same hole, really. But when you move up here like this is a whole different deal, okay? This is a radical change, okay? So, and you'll feel that for yourself, but it has a lot to do with the outsides of the arms, okay? And also some areas in the back become activated when you hold your arms out like this, okay? And so you want to do this in a way that doesn't overtax the system. Do not underestimate the strain that these postures can put on your body, okay? Just because you're not bench pressing 350 pounds here doesn't mean there's not some serious weight going on. This is your body weight, okay? So you have to approach these with some humility, even though you know, you think, oh, what's going on here? There's no weight at all. Yes, there is. There's your whole body weight right here, okay? So, you know, keep your elbows soft, keep your knees soft. You have to really pay attention to your tailbone so that it stays tucked under. Make sure your fist is vertical, okay? I don't want to see this. Keep them vertical, okay? It's like you're holding ski poles or something like that, right? So you got this thing going, right? And then the fourth posture, or the fifth posture rather, is you just raise them up, okay? And they're straight up, okay? Now, when you do this, you'll see some places will have, they'll teach you to like look up like this. And I don't like that. I feel that it puts too much tension on the back of the neck in a way that's really unhelpful. But it might just be my Buddho bias coming out. I want to make sure I'm always treating my structure in a way that it can absorb shock and channel it well. This is not a really intelligent martial posture. So I might be overly influenced that way, but my recommendation really is you keep your alignment in place while you do this, okay? I don't ever want to do anything that makes, I have to like put my neck at risk to do the posture. That to me isn't the right way to go about it. I want to make sure that basically my posture that we work so hard on cultivating in the earlier classes, that stays while I do this, okay? So I don't have to give that up in any way when I do this posture. That's important. Now, if you are someone that has limitations, you know, shoulder range of motion is super common, okay? Having issues where you can't actually maybe get your shoulder up all the way like that, you can always make adjustments. But just in the same way that I was talking earlier, you know, with Mark about maybe doing some stuff to help the knee joint, if my shoulder is a problem, I can very gently get to where, let's say, the range of motion ends and just kind of gently kind of work it with this, you know, maybe that's as far as I can go, then I do it there. And then maybe the next time around the horn, I can go up just a little more and feel into it more. And maybe not. Maybe when you're a kid, you fell on your shoulder and you broke it funny and there's a click there and it's not going to go. That's okay. You can work around that energetically. But ideally, your physical posture is like so. Okay. And again, you don't ramrod your arms straight up. They're soft, but the energy is strong. Okay. So again, if we review, you've got palms down. And again, we're not doing it now. We're just learning them. So palms down. Then we shift to closed fist with thumbs. Then we shift to fists down. Then we shift to fists in front. And then we shift to fists up top. Okay, let's do it again. Palms down. Closed fists, thumbs up. Closed fists all the way down. And then out in front of you. And then up top. Okay. And that is the stuff. Now, when you go up top, make sure your fists are this way, not this way. Okay. So all of this stuff so far is basically like, the hands are down this way, and then they come in front this way, and then they go up this way. So it's just doing straight in a line. Okay. So it's not doing other stuff at this point. Does that make sense, everybody? So let's try, and let's do, I don't think we should try to do 50 breaths each because we've only got a couple minutes left here, but let's do say 10. Let's do 10 breaths each. So we got 50 breaths total, right? 5 postures, 10 breaths each.
Roshi,
Yeah.
before we do that, when we were doing the first posture, there was
Mhm.
that sense that this was the point of tension. That's where the key was being packed or stacked.
Yep.
And so with each of these is the new point of tension where that key is going. So, the under part and then the top, like
Yeah.
how is it different with each of the postures?
The battery changes a little bit, like where you're storing the chi. Like, for example, this one is what we elucidated last time. Okay. When you close the fists and go palms up, or when you close the fists and have the thumbs come up, it makes a tension here. You just want to feel in the body. I'm going to breathe in and then breathe out and make a little expansion, and you feel in your body where the tension is. Okay. And you want to send it basically down the arms. Okay. That's your intention. Now, when you get to this one, it activates the outside a little bit. It's like this. Okay. So the battery is still the hands, definitely where the point of contact would be. Right. So it's down here, like at the, what do you call that? The fist print here. Okay. That's a spot, but it's also all the way up the outside of the arms. So when I inhale, I'm drawing in. And then when I exhale, all of this is kind of opening. And it's not just a muscular expansion. I'm doing that so you can kind of see it, but it's actually the blood vessels and everything open up. And that'll happen just by feeling it. Okay. So that includes here and here. Breathing in, exhaling. Okay.
Mhm.
When you come here, you're going to feel it also on the sides of the arms, but you feel it a little bit in your back. Okay. In a different way, like all the, the shoulder comes tucking underneath here to get those to raise up. You don't want to just have your arms flop up this way. You want to have your shoulder round back. It's kind of like this is sitting, the shoulder is rounding back and sitting in the hip pocket. And that's what raises the arms. Basically, if I had another set of arms behind me, which I don't, but this is going down, and that's why this one rises. So it's kind of like down makes this up. So when I'm here, I'm going to feel behind me 2 other extra sets of arms behind me that go down, and that's what raises them up. It might be a little advanced, but it's worth thinking about. Okay. Whatever you can see is yang. Okay. If you can see it and it's obvious, it's yang. Okay. And it's what gets your attention, but it is not what the power is yin. And for every yang that you can see, if it's if it's really healthy yang, there's a hidden yin that actually is where the power is, and you don't see it. So in this case, if I'm raising this arm up and I'm just like my energy is forward, I'm just raising my arms, it's all yang, therefore very weak. Overactive yang becomes dry, becomes brittle, and breaks like an old twig. Just it has no tensile strength. Okay. But if I concentrate here and I feel something behind me sink, and that draws my arms up this way, then I have appropriate yin power that's driving this yang expansion. And that can be startlingly powerful when you're on the receiving end of it, believe me. Or just in your own structure, just being balanced. Okay. And this is a general principle of yin and yang. What you see is yang, but what actually makes it power is yin. So you have to always be thinking about, in motions of the body, what do you see is one thing, and what's actually happening is something else. Okay. So we'll talk about that more as we start talking about moving forms. But here you've got to go from this posture to this posture. So it's a moving form already to go from that posture, from the one posture to the next. This to this, it's not a big deal. You know, there's not that much movement. And to go to here, there's a little bit of a winding that happens around, but it's not that big a deal. When you go here, this is a big motion. This is a really big motion. Okay. This is massive. You know, how much in daily life do you do this kind of thing, right? It's a big deal. Okay. And then going up further, when you get here, you'll feel that in your body. I mean, you know, you can, at the least you'll feel it on the outside. All of these will have on the outside of the arms as being a big deal. But also, when I get here, you feel gravity shoot down your structure all the way through the spine in a way that's very, very powerful. Okay. And remember, you want to keep your shoulders in. Don't have your shoulders come up out of their sockets like you're kind of hanging there. Like, keep your shoulders in. Bring your shoulders into each other and just lift and lift. Okay. And you want to feel this thing I was talking about. This sinks. Okay. I mean, for those who've done it, the third movement, okay, of the 8 brocade is like this. And everybody that I see do this often, they put their mind, you can see their mind is up in the hand that's going up. And what you really want to do is feel the hand that sinks. The hand that sinks is what's driving the upward motion. So when you get here, this hand sinks, and that's what makes the other one go up. Okay. It's like pumping down makes this one lift, not thinking about which hand's going up. So that's a little more sophisticated. This movement is more sophisticated than this one. But you have to imagine that there's something back here that's sinking, and you'll feel it. This, and that continues here. Okay. All right. Does that help, or is that more confusing? It's hard to know, but all right, let's give this a go. All right, let's give this a go. So for a second, just get yourself grounded and just stand. Let your eyes close for a sec. Okay. Just check in with your feet. When things really start going weird, just check in with your feet. You'll be fine. Just feel your feet. Feel the earth underneath your feet. Feel the weight of it beneath you. It's always there. Okay. And then let your feet open, toes. Then let your middle of the foot, the sole of the foot opens up. Feel the ankles open up, and then up into the knees. Let the knees open gently through the femurs into the hip, the pelvis. Tuck the tailbone. Rock forward and back so that your weight is actually in the center of your foot. And tuck the tailbone so the weight is at the center of the foot. Let your awareness come into your back, into your spine, low back, middle back, upper back. Let your shoulder blades open away from each other. Round your arms in. Feel the chi go down your shoulders. Open the elbows, open the wrists, open the palms and the fingers. Tiger's mouth is against the legs. Bring your awareness back up to your low neck. Open it, your middle neck, higher neck, base of the skull, back of the skull, top of the skull, and then above you. And with all of those energy gates open, let yourself scan downwards, right through the center of the brain. Let yourself just relax into the eyeballs, the center of the brain, third eye, temples, down the face, down the throat, down the shoulders and arms and hands, down the chest, shoulders, the center line of the body, sternum, down the ribs, all the intestines, down to the pelvis, genitals, the legs, the knees, everything sinks down into the ground. Finally to the ankles and the feet and below you into the earth. And feel how gravity is flowing through your system. Now with this, we go to the first posture. So we bring the palms so that they're facing down. Fingertips are pointing out in front of you. Breathing in through the 5 gates. Contractive inhale, hold it in the 1 point, and then exhale. Send it down to the wrists and the palms. I'm making it audible so you can follow, but you should try to breathe silently. Inhaling. Exhaling. With each exhale, you're sending chi to the palms and to the wrists. It packs there. Inhaling. Hold it at the 1 point. And then exhale. Send it up through the arms, down to the wrists and the palms. Inhaling. Exhaling. Inhaling. Exhaling. Remember, you make a little exertion when you exhale. Inhaling. Inhaling. Exhaling. One more. Inhaling. Exhaling. I think that was about 10. So now what we're going to do is close the fists, but keep the thumbs pointing towards each other and pulled up slightly. Inhaling. Send it down. Notice how it hits your structure differently now because of this change. Inhaling. Exhaling. Leaving the chi there. Inhale again. Exhaling. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. That's 5. Inhale. Exhale. That's 6. Inhale. Exhale. In. In. Out. Last one here. In. Out. Now bring your thumbs in and turn both fists down. Inhaling. Down. Now include all the outsides of your arms and the striking surface of the fist. In. The battery just got a lot bigger, folks. Out. In. Out. Covers the entire outside of the arms from the connecting point in the shoulder all the way down to the striking surface. In. Out. In. Out. There's a slight expansion on the exhale. It like incrementally opens the space between your arm and the torsos just a little bit each time. Inhaling. This is now 6. Out. Inhaling. This is now 7. In. This is 8. In. This is 9. Last one in this posture. In. It's 10. You really feel how your whole outside of your arms wrapped around to the striking surface facing the floor is charged, and very specifically raise them up to their right in front of you. Be sure you keep your shoulders soft. Keep the arms slightly rotated in. Don't let your elbows come out to the sides. Keep them underneath you. Inhale. Exhale. You can feel like you're pushing away. Inhale. Exhale. But don't forget, you're also pushing away from your back just as much as your hands. Inhale. In. In. That was 5. Inhaling. Really feel your ability to draw chi in increases with each inhale. Exhale, you're storing it from the striking surface all the way the outside of the arms up to the shoulders. In. It begins to fill the entire arm. In. Every joint in the body expands when you breathe out. Vertebrae, ribs, everything. Inhale. They all draw in. Exhale. Everything expands. Knees, spine, everything. Last one here. Breathes in. Out. Now continue. Draw it up. Ideally all the way overhead. Accommodate if you need to. Inhaling. Out. Between heaven and earth, there you are. Inhale. Out. In. Out. Feel every joint expand when you exhale. Send that chi to the sides of the arms. Inhale. Out. Inhale. Out. That's 5. Inhale. drawing in from the front and the back, from heaven, from earth, bring it to the one point, and then send it up through the arms. It hits the end of the fist and sloshes back and gets stuck there in the arms, charging it. Leave it there where you gather more. Inhale. Exhale. Keep your shoulders in their sockets. Inhale. Exhale. Keep your spine open. Last breath here. Inhale. Out. Now, very carefully, let your arms just fall. Let them drop and let them swing a little bit. Okay. Let your fingers just open gently. Keep your eyes closed. And just feel the energy you've gathered in your arms circulating through your body. Just breathe naturally. Shift more to a Buddhist breath, meaning an expansive inhale. When you feel like the energy has gone where it needs to, you can very gently widen your stance, just a touch. And take this box and just turn a little bit side to side and let your arms just flop. Nothing extreme here, just very gentle. Breathe naturally. Don't think about it anymore. Just enjoy the feeling of your arms swaying in the breeze. Couple more here. And gradually come back to center. Let your posture come straight. Let your arms just go in front and back a little bit, like a swing. Relax your shoulders. Again, small range of motion. You're not really throwing them way out there, just very simple. And then come back to our standing posture. And conclude with Gasho. All right, let's have a seat and we'll talk about it for a minute. Jeff Sensei makes a note. Let's see what he's saying here. I assume we're using reverse breathing for all of these exercises. Yeah. You know, Jeff Sensei, I've taken to calling them a contractive inhale, contrasted with an expansive inhale, because if you don't know what reverse breathing is, it doesn't tell you by itself, you know. Neither does the normal descriptor of saying Taoist breathing or Buddhist breathing. Historically, those are perfectly accurate descriptions, but in modern English, they're kind of unhelpful. So what I would say is you're doing a contractive inhale when you're drawing qi, and then an expansive inhale when you're sending it out to the arms for the Mo Wai Dan. And then when you're letting it disperse and circulate, do an expansive inhale and just a contractive inhale as in Zazen. And then you just let the body do its own stuff. Does that make it clear? Okay. All right. So comments on this, questions, anything that isn't clear? Oh, Sayaka, please.
So about the contractive breathing, when I breathe in, so I can feel that I contract. But when I breathe out, because we are directing our chi to a specific point, I feel like I'm still kind of contracting my torso and like trying to like only let it through in one direction. Is that right or is that wrong?
Well, I wouldn't say right or wrong. It's just what you're feeling. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
the thing is when you draw in and you let go, it does that naturally. Okay.
Mhm.
But there's still some tension there to squish the chi to send it up the channel. So when I'm going to take chi from my center up something goes like this inside to make that happen. Okay. So my belly breath is going to come in and then exhale like that. But if I'm sending chi out the arm at the same time that the belly is expanding, there's something inside that's doing that to make the chi reach. Okay. So usually compound breath is a little sophisticated to talk about at such a time as this. We can, but basically what you want to do is breathe it in and then relax that. And as you relax that, continue to send it to the point where you have your awareness. And you're right, there is a contractive feeling inside that makes the chi go there initially.
Okay.
But you couldn't, it's actually not possible to contract inhale and contract exhale and then contract on the next inhale, then contract on the next inhale, you'd fall over.
Yeah, it kind of does feel like I'm just not like, I don't know, I feel like I'm kind of like tense
Yeah.
throughout.
Well, let's try this together. Come here, just make your fist, okay? And we can all try this together. What you want to do is inhale with a contractive inhale in the tummy. Okay. And then when you exhale, let the tummy go and a little bit squeeze your fist. Okay. So I'm making a muscular contraction in the fist. And then inhale, relax that. The tummy is contracting. And then relax the tummy, squeeze the fist. Okay. So tummy's relaxed, fist is squeezed. Inhale, fist is relaxed, tummy's tight. Exhale, relax the tummy, squeeze the fist. Okay, that's what we're doing. Does that make sense? So when you're breathing in, if I make it open hand, you can see it more. Breathe in, tummy's contracting. Okay, and then exhale, tummy's relaxing, energy's coming up and out to the point. If you play with it for a while, you'll see that you got it.
Yeah, that really helps. Thank you.
It's funny, we have to trick ourselves into feeling our own bodies. How embarrassing. And I know the feeling very well. Yes, Yoshiki, yes?
Are you squeezing your hands a little bit in each posture, like even when you're up here?
Yeah.
And here?
Yeah, especially in the beginning, you actually want to have a little bit of a contraction or an expression of intent. Eventually you don't need to do that. That falls away, but not for, I don't know, 100 hours or something, to pick a random number. You have to have done it enough to where you're breathing in, and I'm actually like making the joints close to draw in. At the same time, the tummy's contracting, and then you do the opposite. You let the tummy relax and you expand all of this. And then here, I'm making a little tension on the outside of my arms, all the way from here, all of this, boom, all to the I kept calling this the striking surface, but that point, it's here and all the way along the outside from the shoulders. Just like this ring. Okay.
In all three positions, down, out, and up?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, when it's down, it's out like this, up, or centered, and then up. Yeah, ten, Jin, Chi. And also, when you sit, if you think about it for a second, you've got this kind of thing going on when you sit. There's definitely a guardian quality to this kind of thing. I don't want to say too much at this time, but it'll change your feeling when you sit a little bit. I don't want you to be making conscious tension in your body when you're trying to do Zazen. That would be a mistake. Okay. You have to hold your posture well, but when you practice this way, your posture will be informed by that feeling without any effort on your part. Okay. And
I think it's the first exercise I've ever done with fists in my whole life, because dance is always, open. So it's a new feeling.
Welcome to the dark side. Yeah, it is different. And again, remember, these initial closed fist feelings are about bringing chi in from the heaven, your environment, and the earth, bringing it to the one point and then storing it. So you're closing it. Okay. I'm not putting it out into the environment. I'm not sending it out anywhere. I'm closing it and I'm cycling it and storing it here. All right. And I'm charging it, packing it. Boom, 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 boom. And then you release and it disperses inside your own structure. So that is a very specific way of training the chi. Okay. The next set we'll do is the open palm, where everything is open. And that has a very different feeling because you're interacting with your environment. Okay. This one, you're not interacting with the environment. You're drawing chi from the environment, purifying it and storing it, and then letting it go where it needs. Anybody else? Jukai, yep.
It's so helpful what you just demonstrated. It also confuses me about another part, and that's the transition between each position. It seemed like we were intending to hold the chi in our arms.
Yep.
And when you're talking about this kind of loosening and tightening, it feels like letting go of chi.
Yeah.
And
So what I would encourage you to do, the feeling that you're fishing for, okay, is that you're stocking up here, and then you carry that to this point, and then you stock, you not like hunt stock, you keep it, you stock the shelf.
yes.
You add more here, okay, and then you take that and you carry it up to this point, okay. So each position you're adding to your treasure house, okay, and you carry that to the next, and you gather some elixir there, and you go to this point and you gather some elixir there, and then finally you let go and let the elixir go where it needs to, okay. And if you just have the feeling of carrying the chi, you'll do it, okay.
That's very
It's a very important thing in any deep physical body practice. If you when you move, your chi disperses, you don't have it. You know, how do you move in a way that you carry all the weight with you and you learn to wield it? See, it has to be seamless and exquisitely heavy. You know, your arms are very heavy and your legs are completely light. And this is how it actually is. And this is, you know, more Budo training, I think. But when I feel like this, moving here and moving here, that is the same thing in Aikido. If we can ever do it again, for God's sake, if you can actually touch my hands, you know, if we can be in the same room together, you know, you grab my hands and I make like this. If I'm just trying to move my arms like this, I'm going to get stuck immediately. It's not going to happen. Okay. But if you have your chi moving and the blood vessels are expanding and all this stuff is going on, just boom. You know, if you've never seen it, go on YouTube and watch Sensei's Aikido. You know, just do a little YouTube search. You might see it with different eyes now. You know, imagine somebody grabbing you and putting stress and resistance, and then you go like this. Okay. And then you turn a little bit and then you exhale, you know, and then of course he's got his hands open. It's more refined. The earlier arts are far more violent. Their aim is destruction, and they're damn good at it. Aikido is aiming for non-violence, but it expresses the same kind of internal body movement. Little tangent there, but why not? Okay, anybody else? All right. Well, let's try it this way then. Let's proceed. And Sayaka went through and made some timestamps on some of the earlier videos. Thank you for that. If somebody can or would like to for this one, when it's on the YouTube, you know, you can go back to that and just watch that little chunk over and over if you like. But move towards, say, 10 breaths each. That'll give you a total of 50. When that's comfortable, then go 11. When that's comfortable, go 12. Okay. And one last piece of advice: instead of trying to count numerically in your head, I think it's very useful to just slightly emphasize one or the other finger when you exhale, very, very minutely, but you have like a kinesthetic counter then. You don't have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's very irritating to do. Instead, just feel the pinky of the right hand and then feel the middle finger of the hand and feel the ring finger and then the middle finger and then the pointer finger and then the thumb. And then you switch to the thumb here, first finger, like that. It's kind of like tactile counting rather than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Don't make it too much though, or you'll make an imbalance in the posture. It should be really slight. Okay. Overall should be equal and just a little touch, emphasizing that point. Okay, everybody. All righty. Well, thank you for engaging. Let's dedicate the merit quickly. So may the merit of the time that we spent here today go to those who need it most so that suffering may be relieved, particularly those who are very disconnected from their bodies for whatever reason, those who suffer ill health or just a disconnect from their structure. May they find a connection with their body. May suffering be relieved. May it be so. All right, everybody. This will put some steel in your spine. Use it well.